Hi, this is Patrick, and in this video let's talk about mindfulness as it pertains to stress reduction. So mindfulness is an ancient teaching with a very deep and nuanced range of practices, so a lot can be said about mindfulness. And of course there are so many contemporary applications for this practice. To give a simple definition, mindfulness is awareness in the present moment with a warm-hearted and non-judgmental attitude toward whatever is arising. So let's look at 4 of the main ways that mindfulness helps us to reduce stress, and then at the end we'll do a guided mindfulness meditation. So first, mindfulness meditation is an invitation to tune into the different layers and dimensions of our experience. For example, in some meditations we'll focus on the physical sensations throughout the body and just feel the details of this kind of fabric of our physical body. In some meditations, we'll focus on senses, for example, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and so on. In some meditations, we'll focus on the cognitive mind, the thinking mind, and what kind of activity the mind is having. And in other meditations, we'll focus on the emotions and the heart and feel what the state of those are in the present moment. And by doing this, we're really developing a kind of familiarity with our human life as we are in this present moment. Second, mindfulness meditation is a training in staying with our experience as it is in the present moment. And mindfulness acknowledges that all of life is composed of these rising and falling waves of experience, sometimes pleasant, sometimes unpleasant, sometimes neutral. Mindfulness acknowledges that suffering is a part of life and is really a universal human experience, so that when we feel low, when we feel stress, when we feel suffering, when we feel pain, and so on, we're actually given the invitation and the permission to stay with ourselves and to be with ourselves as we are, and not immediately try and get away from where we are, but actually just to kind of rest and settle into where we are in the present moment. So Ajahn Brahm, one of the great contemporary Buddhist teachers, has a great book title, and this is not necessarily my favorite book by him, but it's definitely the title I like the most, and it refers to this being with ourselves as we are when we feel stress. The title is, "Don't Worry, Be Grumpy." So we can actually allow ourselves to be where we are on that rising and falling cycle of life, and that we might even develop a kind of friendliness toward our suffering and our feeling stress or bad. To have a kind of compassionate response to our stress instead of just trying to get away from it as fast as possible. So this is really a very extremely challenging practice to stay with ourselves when we feel bad. We naturally try to get away from it as fast as possible in many cases, but to stay with discomfort is a great training, because discomfort and stress will always be here. They're a part of life as long as we're in this human body. So one thing that would be really helpful would be to practice staying with ourselves. And then the awareness that we develop during the practice of mindfulness is equally valid when we're on a low, when we're kind of in the middle, neutral, or when we're on a high. And mindfulness itself does not have a preference where on that cycle we are. It's equally interested in all phases of the cycle. Third, mindfulness meditation is an opportunity to slow down and to calm down, and this can lead to some relaxing changes in the body and mind. The heart rate may slow, the breathing may slow down, we'll become aware of what kind of thoughts we're having and maybe notice some spaces between thoughts, and we'll feel what kind of emotions are happening in the body. And also the practice can lead to some more permanent structural and functional changes in the brain. So research shows and brain scans show that the practice can help to thicken and increase the left prefrontal cortex, which is involved with self-awareness, self-regulation, And also the alarm center in the brain, the amygdala, may shrink in size in response to practice. And then that those changes are with us going forward in our lives. And fourth, practicing mindfulness can give us a tremendous sense of space. Whereas once we may have been identified with a particular problem, a particular thought pattern, now we can open to something much bigger, which is all of these different dimensions inside of us and around us in the universe. And this can lead to a real sense of wholeness, oneness, integration, healing, and maybe a deep sense of self-acceptance. Okay, so let's do a guided meditation to develop this self-awareness and this warm-hearted or non-judgmental attitude. And just a word about safety before we begin. If you find that this meditation causes a lot of tension or stress in yourself, please gently let go of the practice and consult your health professional about whether these are appropriate for you at this time. You may want to do this posture sitting in a stable and upright posture, or you may be standing, you may be walking, you may be lying down, or any other posture. You may want to practice with your eyes closed, or maybe half open with a soft gaze downwards. So wherever you have chosen to position yourself, just starting with an awareness of your physical posture here and now. Feeling the parts of the body that are touching the floor, the ground, the chair, the couch, the bed, wherever you are. Feeling the sensation in your hands and the fingers. Feeling the sensation where your clothing is touching your skin. Feeling movement in your body, and that could be the movements of breathing, rising and falling in the belly or the chest or in and out of the nose. There may also be more subtle sense of movements in the body, pulsing, throbbing, twitching. Maybe also the movements of the heart beating or of digestion in the body. And along with the awareness of this touch or contact or pressure in the body, along with this awareness of movements in the body, see if it's possible to have a kind of warm-hearted or non-judgmental attitude toward what is there. Is it possible to accept it with friendliness, whatever the physical sensation is? Okay, so let's open our senses, starting with the sense of hearing or sound. Just allowing this sensory information to touch on the eardrums and to keep on flowing and changing from moment to moment. And there are so many other layers of sensory information. Taste, smell, touch, balance, the relative position of the limbs, temperature, heat and cool reception in the body, the perception of pain also in the body, just a rich, rich tapestry and fabric of sensory information and physical information in the body. And seeing if it's possible just to be aware, but also to allow things to be as they are without judging them, rejecting them, or holding on to them, just letting them flow. And let's gently tune into our thinking mind and just notice what kind of activity is happening there in the thinking mind. Sometimes very busy, like a waterfall, just continuous stream of thoughts. Sometimes said to be like a crazed monkey jumping around from topic to topic. Sometimes more like an open sky with a lot of space and clarity. Sometimes bright, sometimes dull. Sometimes confused. Sometimes very alert. Seeing if it's possible to allow your thinking mind to be as it is. No need to reject thoughts. No need to push them away. Just being aware of what kind of flowing pattern of mental activity is there right now. Okay, and let's tune into our emotions also. Noticing where in your body you feel any emotions that might be there. Sometimes there's a very high intensity of emotion, whether that's pleasant or unpleasant. Sometimes there's a great sense of calm and space. And just seeing if it's possible to allow yourself to be as you are without trying to get somewhere else. Just being with yourself, befriending, attending, allowing these emotions. Now we have felt through some physical sensations in the body, some of the sensory information in the body, being aware of some thoughts coming and going, perhaps felt some emotions in the body. And just seeing if it's possible to be with this flowing, shifting, changing flow of life in yourself right now, in this present moment, without trying to shape it or change it or direct it. Just observing, being aware, receiving, sensing. Okay, and when you're ready, you may want to open your eyes if they were closed. You may want to gently move your body if you were sitting still. And gently coming back to awareness of the space around you. So how do you feel having spent a few moments with this mindful awareness of these different layers and dimensions of your experience? Did you discover something new? Did you access any sense of calm or space? So one analogy I really like for this practice is taking a glass of drinking water and stirring in a spoonful of salt and then drinking that water. It's probably going to taste pretty salty, pretty unpleasant. If you take the same measure of salt and stir it into a 1,000-liter tank of pure mountain drinking water and then drink a glass of that water, it's probably that you may not notice the taste of the salt at all. So with this practice, by opening our awareness to these dimensions of our inner experience, dimensions of outer experience, we're really giving ourselves a much wider container, a much bigger container in which to experience the stress, the suffering, the discomfort. And that makes it a little more palatable. So please leave your comments and questions below and let me know what you discovered about yourself in doing this practice. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching.